What's going on, ladies and gentlemen out there in the nation? Your boy Sly here, and thanks for checking out something a little different than what I normally do. With work winding down and hopefully some more times to do vids, I want to start branching out into a little bit of everything, and game reviews is definitely one of those things. So while my ability to record on console is down until Elgato sends me a replacement, I'll have to use my PC, and as some of you might have heard, the PC versions of No Man's Sky is an absolute mess. Now I have way above the required specs for this game, and it's very, very jittery with crazy low frame rate drops. I've read on forums that gamers even with the minimum specs can't even play the game. While this will ultimately get sorted out in an update, I'm not going to base my review off of that alone. While annoying, this is about the experience itself. And, okay, so before we start, if y'all can hear my fan in the background, I apologize about that. It's like 10,000 degrees in here, and with all these electronics, it's just making it worse. So, sorry about that, but bear with me, and hopefully you can't hear it that much. Alright, so let's get started, guys. You start the game with a bit of a frustration. While the screen says initialize in all white, that's it. It starts the game, white screen, a little E with a circle around it, and it just spins. Nothing else. On the PC, it has a letter E in the circle. I'm pretty sure, I think PS4 had a... I don't know what they said, if it was a circle or an X, but in any case, I sat there, thought it was the day one patch updating, so I waited and waited, restarted, came back, waited again, nothing, spacebar, escape, enter, mashed a bunch of buttons, nothing happened. So, I thought it was broke. Quick Googling, turns out you have to hold down the E button. So I did that, and apparently that affected a few thousand people on PS4 and PC. Tons of forum posts about it. People are upset. So yeah, that's a great way to start a game. So you start off as a stranded person, alien, they don't really tell you, and you're started on a random planet with a broken down ship, little resources, and no real tutorial to speak of. Pop-up hints here and there help guide you, but it's pretty much you're on your own type of deal. The first-person mechanics are surprisingly smooth, the aiming is nice, and it feels good to use the mining laser. Something strangely satisfying about zapping down a huge crystal into a bunch of pebbles that then gets sucked up in a gun. However, this multi-tool, as it's called, does a bunch of different things. It mines, it shoots for protection as your weapon, it launches grenades, scans the environment, and assumingly it activates terminals and interfaces with computers and stuff like that. The mining laser, like I said, it's great, but the feel doesn't transfer over so well as a weapon. It feels a little lackluster and sluggish. Now there are of course tons of upgrades you can do to it, but I don't think this is something you can actually upgrade. I think this is just the mechanics they try to balance between the laser and the weapon itself. Like I said, it did a great job with the laser, however the weapon, it could use some improvements. Now right away guys, you can definitely tell this is an indie game, which isn't a bad thing, but if you're looking for a polished space shooter based on real life graphics, then you, my friend, will be very disappointed. The one thing that this game gets absolutely right from the beginning is its portrayal of size. The size of space, the planets, the moons, distance. This is the first game I played where you actually get a sense of, like, holy shit, this place is huge. And I'm only in my solar system. There's hundreds of billions of solar systems in this game. It's just a crazy amount to think about. Flying is a halfway expensive endeavor at first, but it's awesome to see something that is like 5 hours away, like in real time. Like, if I just keep pressing forward, I would arrive at that planet in 5 hours kind of deal. But then you use your booster and it gets cut down to like 2 minutes. But even backing off from your boosters with like 10 seconds left until you arrive still means that you're going to have to fly 15 minutes away in normal flying time. So that's definitely something to get used to. And the last thing you want to see is that you're on empty with no fuel in your inventory. That's a long time to fly. So it's something you always have to keep an eye on. One of the cool things is seeing you warp across the system, and then the planet that was, so out of reach just a few moments ago is slowly becoming bigger and bigger in your screen. And then all of a sudden, only a 20th of the whole planet fits into your screen. Then all of a sudden you break into the atmosphere, catch on fire, and if you catch it just right, you can actually tilt your ship and see the curvature of the planet with the fire, smoking around your ship and the atmosphere, like that thin line protecting it. I mean, it's pretty awesome. I'll get to that back here in a minute. But no game really pulls off the scale and the exploration like this does. At least none that I've ever played. But back on foot, that's another story. Like I said, you're a humanoid equivalent of a snail. You're walking. It's maddening slow, guys. Your run is what your walk should be. Using your ship to hop from place to place is very expensive at start, but it's really the only real way to get around quickly, and resources are usually abundant enough to refuel, but you refuel very often. At first, flying's a confusing mess, but you get used to it. However, landing, someone just absolutely dropped the ball with landing. Every time you land, it's a complete guess. If you miss your mark landing, and if you're flying at high speeds, that could mean a full minute to 2 minute walk to try to get to where you were going. Or you have to, spend fuel, raise up just to move like, a second forward and then go back down again. That all takes fuel. If you don't have it, well, you're stuck walking. Now, like I said, you do get used to it, but it could really use some help. One thing I wanted to get into here is about the planets, and just life in general. Remember back in the day, one of the selling points early on in this game is that you would never see another player, or probably even never see a hint of other players until like later on when the millions of them start naming stuff. And even then, you might not even notice, right? Well, my second solar system that I ever went to in this game was named Ice Cream, and the first planet I landed on was called Orange Sherbet with Donald Trump. I went to warp to another place that was undiscovered, but I could either only go back to where I started, or the next solar system in line, which was already discovered by Hunter 5. This was in the first 2 hours of the game, and already I see evidence of 2 people, one of which must still be in the Ice Cream solar system because planets that were unnamed all of a sudden start getting named while I was there. I mean, it's not like it's a problem, just something I wanted to point out. I also thought it was kind of funny, right? Quintillions of planets out there, and I land on Sherbet with Donald Trump. That's awesome. Alright, so speaking of planets again, they all have this indie vibe to each and every one of them, and I would say that maybe 1 out of every 5 is completely unique. The rest are simply variations of something that you've already seen, which are cool, for the first few days, but definitely tiresome after a while. You scan something that's pretty much identical to a plant you just scanned on a different planet, yet for some reason it's a completely new species here. Same picture and everything, just like the caves. If you went into one cave, you've pretty much seen them all. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. I just went back and read pretty much everything that I wrote, and it sounds like I'm having a terrible time, but I'm not. While things are clumsy and the alien encounters are completely uneventful, the sheer size is truly something to see. The completionist in me wants me to name just one more undiscovered animal before I leave. That leads to an abandoned base where this alien fungus is hijacking a terminal and sends me to another ruin. There's always something to go and see, and you never know where it'll be or what you're going to see. It could be a crashed ship that's 10 times better than what you have now. It could be rare materials, rare upgrades. You never know, and it keeps going deeper and deeper. The next thing you know, you're on your way to sell a boatload of gold, and it's been 8 hours, and now you're late for work. You ask yourself if the older planets deeper in the galaxy will house crazier stuff, and maybe even undiscovered intelligent life. That's the real magic behind this game. All in all, from a studio as small as Hello Games, which has like 15 people, I think? I mean, they just hired a support team for the forums to help with player requests, Q&A, bugs, that kind of stuff, and that was double the size of the team that made this game. For a studio that size, this is an absolutely amazing feat, guys. The scale is something that we will never wrap our heads around, and while it's not an action junkie's dream, I think the point of this game is to feel that wow moment. For however brief you slow down and think to yourself like, wow, this is huge. How much bigger is space than this? That's what this game is about. However sluggish and empty it may feel at times, I think that's the real point here. It puts things into perspective only a game like this could. The added economy, the mining, the miner survival aspect is just another layer and a form of progression in a universe where your tiny little explorer barely stands out. A lot of indie games shoot for emotions that are different from action titles or RPG games, and this one definitely gets that different feel. But it's too big, and it needs more attention-grabbing things early on. Like I said, I'm still early in the game, and I'll do a final piece on this when I complete it, if I ever do. A few years down the road, after a lot of polish, some better combat mechanics, more loot, and an updated generator, this game could be something that anyone can get lost in. If I had to give it a rating right now, and remember, it's still early on, I'd give it a 7.5. I'll do a review once I'm done with it and experience, flight, combat, all upgraded items, along with seeing what lies in the middle. Maybe it'll improve, but it's definitely not a game for everyone. But there is a spark there that, if tended to in the right way, could make this something completely amazing. So we're just going to have to wait and see. But that's it, guys. So sorry if it was a little long, but believe it or not, I actually edited stuff out to shorten it. It is a very expansive game, and I didn't even touch on the economy or crafting, but they really don't stand out as much as everything else. It's an experience few will appreciate, but if you're into those type of games, you're going to feel right at home, no question. Alright guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I asked Elgato to send the replacement capture card as soon as possible, because of course I depend on it to make videos. So we'll see if they answer that request, but I'll try to be back and making my normal videos as soon as possible. And with work finally slowing down, hopefully it will arrive at the perfect time. Alright guys, so thank you all so much for watching, and also for the support. I could not do this without you all, and I hope that you all know how much I appreciate it. If you want to stay up to date on everything Destiny, The Division, or gaming in general, follow me on Twitter at SlideNation. It's the best place to stay up to speed on new vids or new updates coming out for our favorite games. That's it for me guys. As always, stay safe, have a great week, and until next time, this is your boy Sly. Done, gone, out.
Okay, Agent, I'm impressed. Riker gonna be too busy.